and welcome to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. I'm your host, Alex Urbina, joined weekly in studio with Ellen Tunick, and today is episode 1 of Helping You Reach Your Full Potential. We're going to be talking about different things all regarding coaching. Today we're going to talk a little bit first about what is coaching. What is coaching to you? Do you know what coaching is?
I have a sense of what coaching is.
What's your idea of coaching?
Somebody telling me something.
Okay.
You know, it's vague. It's on a very superficial level. I'm sure coaching goes very deep. But I grew up with sports. So coaching to me is a coach out there telling the players how to play, where to go, how to move, how to think, their sports mind. So personal coaching, I'm assuming, is on a very different level.
It's sort of similar. It's more, instead of telling you what to do, it's more like asking you questions so that you can develop on your own. So it's more about like figuring out how to get you to develop and grow and learn. So walk you along this journey so that you're being more effective at whatever it is that you're committed to. So like as a sports athlete, if you're committed to being best at whatever sport you've embraced or chose to be a part of, if you want to be better at it, you get yourself a coach so that the coach can see things that you can't and point some of those things out to you. So do you see the value of being able to have someone else share their insight or their perspective or seeing things that you can't see it and then pointing it out to you, like almost like seeing your blind spots and going, hey, wait a minute, right over in that back corner, if you back up too far, you're going to hit that curb.
Absolutely. I think that takes an openness on my part, and to really be open, that takes time, and that takes an attitude. And I think that is slowly developed. I think it's hard when you have not been through that process to all of a sudden just step in and say, coach me.
I agree. In fact, it's almost like I've been guiding my own self in my life for so long. It's such an ingrained habit that I am the expert of myself that it's hard for me to wrap my mind around sitting down and have someone else tell me or show me or help guide me along my own journey, right?
Yes. I mean, it's a little bit of the deer in the headlights look, you know. It's like, what's he trying to tell me? Where do I go with that?
Yeah.
What's he saying? How does that even relate to me? I think it really takes a while to be in that place where you are hearing what your coach is trying to coach you with. Because I think we all have ingrained defense mechanisms. Mm-hmm. So you're going to hear something. Of course, I know I do. And immediately
the walls come up,
mm-hmm. and it's not coming in properly.
Yeah, and that's great insight, and that's why I love having you on the show, because you're so articulate about and honest. I love your honesty and that's really how we learn is that you're sharing some of the things that some of my clients that say they want to coach, they struggle with in the beginning, and that's a lot of the things I'm going to talk about now in the next few minutes about the power of coaching, how to be coachable, what it looks like, what it doesn't look like, and all those kinds of things. The cool thing about this show is that every week we're going to do a lot of coaching live on the air. So I'm going to have someone call in the second half of the show, and we're going to do a live coaching session on the radio so that you can peek in and see what it looks like in that interaction and the dialogue and asking the questions and going, through the obstacles so that that person, the person has their breakthroughs and their aha moments, and you get to experience that and see that.
So because you are so well trained and have been doing this for so long, is it hard for you when you have someone brand new, someone who's never been coached before? Do you coach that person very differently? I mean, is it frustrating for you? How do you open them up? How do you get them to even understand what's going on?
Well, it starts with the first session. The very first session is about you and I connecting with each other. I'm going to have you tell a little bit about yourself, and I'm going to tell a little bit about myself. So we're trying to develop a certain level of trust and credibility, and then we build upon that every time we meet. My job is to try to create enough value for you to want to keep coming back, until we get past that learning curve, because there's a learning curve in everything that we do. So if your learning curve is 4 sessions and right around the corner there's a powerful breakthrough, for some it's the first session, for some it's 12 sessions. Some people don't even give themselves enough time. If they don't get enough value in that first session, they just give up and they go, that doesn't work.
Well,
so it depends.
Today's society, it's quick.
That's right.
It's, immediate gratification.
That's right.
And I'm giving up my time to sit and blah, blah, blah with you.
And I'm paying you.
And you're taking my money.
Yeah.
And I feel the same today than I did before. It's an investment. And I think it's really hard today for people to make that investment in themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes a certain kind of person to wire themselves to be coachable. And I want to talk about some of those distinctions. In order for you to be coachable, you really have to be open-minded. Not somewhat open-minded, but you have to be at the higher level of really being open to possibilities. And when I say open-minded, I'm not saying that you have to agree with everything that I'm saying. I'm just asking you if you're willing to be open to trying to see it that way first. That's step one. So it's not necessarily going, I agree or I disagree. It's, I like what you just said. I don't know if I understand it or believe it, but I'm open. And so sometimes I'm going to say some things to you or open up these possibilities that you might not grasp right now. But if you're open to it, you might grasp it a week from now, 24 hours from now, a month from now. So you have to just be open to the possibility rather than just deciding I see it or I don't see it.
What about if I am open to the possibility, but I don't like what you said?
That's even better.
Oh.
Because
well, there'll be lots of that.
Yeah. It's because now sometimes we have to hear things that we don't like. And I'll give you an example. In my journey of my own coaching and being coached and mentored by the people that have, really kind of locked on me and helped me grow in my journey, some of the biggest breakthroughs interpersonally that I've had have come when it feels like something that they said, like it was like a punch in the gut. And those have been some of the most pivotal moments. Like I needed somebody to say those things to me, because up until that point, no one had ever given themselves enough permission and have enough courage and willing to be risking our relationship to dare say those things to me or point them out to me. Like it was almost like they gave themselves permission to say, look, I love you so much. I need to point this out to you. I'm not judging you. I'm not saying it's good, bad, right, or wrong, or you're bad because you don't see it. I'm just showing you what I'm seeing. And now I'm letting you know that what I see is there.
How do we get past? Because I know as we grow up, anytime somebody says something to you about you, you immediately feel judged. How do you get past that immediate feeling of being judged?
Well,
we'll get there.
Well, when we first start the relationship, as we start having this dialogue and we're building this trust and credibility, there's a certain point, if you hang in long enough, that you will see that my true intentions is to have you win. That my true intentions isn't to say anything mean about you or put you down. When you're genuine with somebody, you can tell that that person wants you to win. And so then you're able to, in your mind, go, all right, well, Alex is telling me this for a reason. So let me take a look at it. And when you stop and sit with it and you're willing to really look at it and be honest, then you can go, you know what, maybe there is a little bit of truth in what he's seeing.
You have to get to that point, and I think that's the whole journey of coaching, because if you say something that immediately gets to me and it causes me pain, the likelihood of me just not opening up my arms to it is probably pretty good.
No, absolutely. And I've lost a lot of clients because in the first session, they want to jump to phase 4 and really get to some deeper matters that they're not ready to really address at the first session. And so they'll ask me these questions and they'll want to get to really uncover some breakthroughs in their life specifically. Let's say it's regarding their kids. And there's a certain philosophy when it comes to parenting that's very powerful. And that philosophy is that you get to see if you can choose to take responsibility for the results that you and your son or daughter have co-created. Well, some parents live in the illusion that, no, that's not real. my son or daughter, that's what they're doing. I have nothing to do with it. And they don't want to take the opportunity to look at how they can be accountable for some of it.
But why?
Because it's powerful for you to take responsibility for the part that you may have played.
But then you have to spend a lot of energy trying to change things about you. And
that's right.
That's too much for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so then it comes back to, so then you don't really want coaching. You don't really want to change. You want to change the other person.
Because that's easier.
Oh yeah, that's why we're so unconscious as human beings.
Have you ever had a client where you've decided pretty quickly on that it's probably not the right time?
I do, but I don't end it. I let them end it, because I've seen some that'll
push through.
Yeah, like the first session, you could tell they're uncomfortable, and I'm like, this one's not coming back, and I'll get a call, and then we'll have a second session. And then I'll see in their eyes, they're like either angry at me because I said something to them or spoke about something that they don't agree with. And so all of a sudden I get a third call. And I've seen people break through, and now as human beings, they're so evolved, they're so powerful, and they're so freed up and living life, flowing with life and happy and joyful and creating some amazing results with them and their family members and the people around them. So I've seen the potential for people to have breakthroughs. So I never decide that you're not ready yet. I let them decide.
So it's up to
and I'm always the bad
recipient.
Yeah, and I'm always the bad guy, because when they're hiring me, they're coming to the table wanting certain things to be fixed. And that's not how coaching works. Coaching doesn't work like you come to somebody and they fix it for you.
Right there. It's like, okay, I'm going to come to you, coach. I've got 60 minutes.
That's right.
Please fix me, and I'm out of here.
That's right. And that's not how it works. Yeah. And that's why we're having the show, is because we're breaking this stigma of what coaching is and what it's not. What coaching is an opportunity to sit with somebody that has the experience to open up certain possibilities for you to see, so that when you see them, you have the breakthrough, the interpersonal breakthrough, and then you're changing a little bit at a time.
Why does that feel so scary?
Because anything that is outside of your comfort zone is scary. But here's the question. Does growth happen inside your comfort zone or outside your comfort zone?
Always outside.
It's always outside. And so you have to start now creating a new relationship with scariness. I have to create a new relationship around fear. And if I can learn how, or Alex, if you can teach me how to embrace my fears, I'm fierce. I'm a champion. I'm able to tackle on new territory, uncharted waters, where all the breakthroughs and all the goodies happen in life.
This timing of the show for me, and I hope for everybody who listens, is perfect. I'm transitioning by retiring.
Yes.
And I am scared to death. I've never been an anxious person. I'm having anxiety. I'm going to the doctor because my heart rate's at 100. He goes, "What's going on with you? Everything looks okay." And I go, "I'm retiring." Mm-hmm. I have no idea how to wrap my head around this. I've worked since I was 15 and a half years old. It's who I am. It's what I do. I don't play golf. I don't play poker. So I'm frightened. And I've isolated myself, almost imprisoned myself in this fear.
Yeah. And so you said something very key to me that I just caught. And what you said was, it's who I am. And what you do is...
See, this is what coaching is.
Yeah. And what you do is not who you are. Who you are is this creative, powerful woman that has gifts to offer the world, whether it's in the business that you've chosen, or as a mother, or as a grandmother, or as a wife. You have these incredible gifts, and you're nothing but a pure potential to create whatever you want. But when you were young, no one taught you that. So what you do is, when we're all looking for an identity, we choose the thing that's familiar to us. So if you start off as a postman, or you start off as a teacher, you start off whatever that trait is, because we don't really know who we are, we hold on to that identity.
Yeah.
And then we work at that.
Tag ourselves
yes,
with that.
we tag ourselves, we label ourselves that I'm the whatever it is, and we live 30, 40 years as being that. Some of the biggest breakthroughs I've had coaching mothers is when their sons or daughters go off into college and they reach out to me and they're like, their heads hung low and they don't know what to do with themselves because they've spent, 18, 19 years of their life raising this child with the title of mom. And when they don't have an opportunity to be mom every day, all day long, it's who they've decided that they've become. And so now without having a son or daughter there going, hey, mom, where are my shoes?
Who am I?
Hey, yeah, who am I now?
And that's kind of what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
I know my daughter, her kids, one's Marine, one went to college, there's only one home. And she's so funny because she says, I have to stop myself from calling him up and saying, did you do your laundry?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll bring it home.
Yeah.
We'll do it here.
Yeah. And so a lot of times we, hold on to and we give ourselves these identities based on the roles we've chosen or taken on. And then we spend so many years mastering that craft that we think that that's who we are. And that's not who you are. So then if you're willing to embark on this courageous journey where you have to challenge yourself and
Yes.
have somebody paint that picture for you and walk you through that journey.
Push.
And
A little push.
a coach does everything from nudging to pushing to dragging,
Giving you a kick in your rear,
to inspiring, to calling you on things, to giving you the feedback. Sometimes it's just to validate you or to acknowledge you. So there's so many different realms to a coach that my job is to figure out what you need right now and then give that to you and serve it up to you. The problem is it just depends on if you trust me or not. If you trust me wholeheartedly with your life, you're going to create some extraordinary things and we're going to have this amazing journey together. If you don't, you'll just justify that, I'm not whatever for you. And then you're just going to go on and find your
I am
own.
at the place where I know I need to go to the next level personally. The only way I'm going to get there is to be trusting and open. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm sure that it's going to be really personally challenged because I always loved what I did. But I feel ready.
Ready for what?
I don't know.
What are you ready for? What's next?
I'm ready to do something else. I'm ready to find out this other side of me.
So you're willing to explore some new possibilities.
Yes, I'm willing to explore new possibilities.
I love that. Now, with or without the fear?
Oh, the fear's there. I'm going to have to work through the fear and understand where does that fear come from? Why is it there in the first place?
And if I can help you understand the fear and we become students of the fear and learn how to embrace the fear rather than resist it or push it away or not want it. But if you can create a new relationship around fear, then you just grab fear with you and you're like, come on, let's go.
There is a book written probably 20, 30 years ago by this woman who broke the glass ceiling. And the book is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
I love it. That's a great title and it's a great concept because most of us live our whole life ignoring fear, pretending fear doesn't exist, resisting it. And the true value and the breakthrough and mastery is embracing the fear and doing it anyways.
Instead of ignoring it.
And we have to train ourselves and teach ourselves. And sometimes we got to learn how to do those things. And that's what I'm excited about when I work with teenagers and I work now with younger kids is to teach kids. Imagine if you learned some of these principles and some of these tools when you were young.
I would be able to just breathe.
And be at peace.
And be at peace.
And be confident enough to take on challenges, and it will just be the air that you breathe. I tell you what, when we come back from the break, we're going to actually have a live coaching session.
A human.
You've already started us off. You don't realize it, but I got plenty of shows that we're going to do some amazing work together. I'm so glad you're here, and I appreciate you. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly, or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
You already know Salt Creek Grill has the best food in our valley. Well, now you can have Salt Creek's gourmet meals catered to your event.
I'm Greg Amsler, owner of Salt Creek Grill. I'd like to introduce you to a new level of catering, featuring our catering director, Tamara Levine.
Salt Creek Grill creates memorable experiences, which leaves our clients and guests with a sense of awe and excitement. From menu development to picturesque presentation, you'll enjoy culinary excellence and creative catering.
Salt Creek Grill, a new level of catering.
At Discovery Cube Los Angeles, every day is an adventure. LA's newest science center brings education to life and lets guests climb on a rock wall, soar over California in a simulated helicopter, or score a goal against an LA Kings hockey player. It's like a theme park for the mind. Now through September 3rd, take a bite out of Dino Summer with your prehistoric pass to the new Dinosaurs Around the World exhibit, all at Discovery Cube Los Angeles. Get your tickets now at la.discoverycube.org.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. I'm your host, Alex Urbina, hanging out in studio with Ellen Tunick. Today we're talking about coaching. We're talking about what the value of coaching is, what it looks like. We also are talking about what it takes to be coached. You know, and so if you're just joining us, we're going to have a live coaching session on the radio right about now. Do we got the caller calling in now? Who do we have on the line?
This is Erin Aquaviva.
Hi, Erin Aquaviva. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi, Erin.
How are you? Hi, Ellen.
So what do you want to talk about today? What kind of breakthroughs are you committed to having today?
Well, I wrote up a couple of questions like we do in our coaching sessions. And I think mine have to do with relationship with self, and then relationship with others. So the first question that I prepared was kind of in reflection to what my family and I have been going through. So we've had a recent transition or death in the family. My father-in-law passed away.
I'm sorry, Erin.
Thanks, Ellen. So as you know, Alex, I have a lot on my plate. I've put a lot on my plate. I'm up to big things. Always challenging myself. I've been listening to the show, and I love the feel the fear and do it anyway. I feel like that's so me. And when this happened, I feel like I hit a wall. Like I can't process this right now. I don't have the space or the capacity to take this on, to support my grieving process, to support my husband's grieving process, and my children. And so the question that I wrote was, how do I support a loved one through grief when I feel like I have no room for surprises on my plate?
That's
myself?
big.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the way that you frame the question when you say, having surprises on your plate, I want to take the opportunity to remind you that you have such a huge capacity. And a lot of times as human beings, we don't give ourselves permission to acknowledge how amazing we are and how much we can take on. And I know that from my own experience in life, that things come to me and things land on my plate only because I have the ability to take them on. And every time I give myself permission to dive in there and challenge myself, I'm always having breakthroughs, and I'm always realizing how much more capacity I have and how much more of a champion I have deep down inside of me. And so I think that this time in your life, all these things that are on your plate are just opportunities for you to keep challenging yourself. And I think when it comes to love, there's love's not a limited space. Love is just this constant energy that keeps flowing from you. And if anyone has ever met Aaron, knows that there's so much love oozing out of you that
oozing.
And that's a key distinction, is that it oozes, it comes out of you. Love flows through you. You're like this funnel that just keeps flowing love out of you. And it's not like a container. You're more like a tube where the love just comes and it flows through you. And you have enough of that love to heal your family members as well as yourself.
But my question is, how does I don't think we know when we have a death, because I know it literally, Aaron, changes who you are, and that's okay. We have to be okay with the fact that it will change who your husband is. It will change who you are. But we don't know what it looks like. What is our life supposed to look like during this process? And that's a scary part. And we tend to withdraw. We tend to want to shut down because it just seems so overwhelming. So,
and it's supposed to be like that.
See, it's supposed to be like that.
When grief happens, it unfolds in so many different ways, and everyone else experiences it in their own way. And so, for some of us, if we actually experience the full brunt of the loss of somebody, we wouldn't be able to take it all. That's why a lot of us shut down. That's why a lot of us, there's portions of us shut down, or we cry in spurts, or we have our own moments in the car where we break down. It's because we don't have, your body, your mind, your spirit can't handle all of it all at once. So that's why they call it a grieving process. You got to go through the different stages. And I know a good friend of mine's probably cringing right now because she doesn't like to hear the word stages, but we'll call it different phases in the journey of grieving. And so if initially you're in shock, it's okay to be in shock. Don't blame yourself or beat yourself up because you think you should be grieving like everyone else.
Whatever that is.
Whatever that is. But a lot of times we'll look at somebody who can grieve it like cathartically and just let it all come out, and then you're looking at yourself, judging yourself, going, how come I can't grieve like my sister? Instead of comparing yourself, you got to learn how to go, this is just my process.
This is me.
This is me. But it's more about the awareness. So I want you to look at the awareness, Aaron, and just be aware of it rather than judging yourself and saying, like, why am I not doing this? Or thinking that you should be somewhere further along rather than exactly where you are.
Aaron, the other thing that I think I heard you say is, because I think we have the tendency to do this, do you feel that there's expectations put on you right now from other members of the family as to either what you should do, how you should do it? Are there expectations floating around in there?
There might be, not that I'm conscious of right now. I feel like my husband and I have done, some of this work for a while. I've done some coaching. I've gone through some, transformational work, and he has as well as some of Alex's workshops. And I feel like we have this understanding that, we're all going to process and have our journey our own way. So I don't know that I necessarily feel that pressure of expectation, except for maybe what I put on myself.
Well, that's
always that wall.
That's a great distinction, because as you were talking about it, I was going to tell you that those expectations are created because you put them on yourself.
Right.
I know it's very easy to make assumptions that everyone else is putting this expectation on me. It's like my brother wants to know, hey, when are we going to do this, and what are you doing? And everyone's asking me. But at a certain point, I'm the one that's choosing to have that expectation instead of speaking up and telling my brother or my brother-in-law, hey, I'll get to it when I get to it. And if you want to contribute, feel free to jump in. rather than, oh my God, I got to do this. Oh my God, I got to do this. I want you to be open to the possibility that if you have the stress and all these expectations, it just might be created by you, not necessarily that other people are projecting their expectations onto you and that you have to be the one that bears all the weight and carries all that pressure with you. The next thing I want to point out to you, Aaron, is I want to remind you that the way that you properly grieve is to give yourself time and permission to express your love for the person who has passed. So here's an example. When someone passes, have any of you remember having an experience where everyone comes over to the home, whether it's later on that night of the day of their passing or a couple of days later, and we're all sitting on the couch and we're all reminiscing. We're all reminiscing and sharing memories about Tom or Christina or whoever it is.
And we're smiling and we're laughing
exactly.
and crying.
That's grieving. That's the process of grieving. So the way that you grieve is to express your love, to express the sadness, to express whatever it is you're feeling and communicate it to someone else. A lot of us like to grieve by ourselves. And it's a healing process when you can find someone else that you trust, someone else that's in your family, and sit down and share. It's about sharing it so that you can get it out. The only way through the pain is the only way out of the pain is through it.
Through, yeah.
You have to be willing to go through that process, and that's what grieving looks like.
It's really hard. I know when I lost my parents, I grieved for months.
Absolutely.
But I grieved in private.
And that's okay too. But
I didn't really want to grieve in private. But nobody else really understood because my sister was grieving in her way, which was very different than mine, and I was respectful of that, but I felt like, well, she's the only one that understands, and I can't go there. So I just kind of quietly every night went to bed, cried. Eventually, I moved through it. I don't think I got over it. I just moved through it. But it would have been really nice to have that experience of being able to sit there and just regurgitate everything. And I didn't have that opportunity.
And give someone the opportunity to hear you, to be your buffer, your sounding wall, so that you can process by vocalizing how much you missed your loved one and how much it hurts. And so that's the whole process. And the question I want to ask you, Aaron, is what did you love most about your father-in-law?
I think I have so much gratitude for him because he raised a man that I love so much.
That's beautiful, Aaron.
So I feel like I love him for who he raised. And then, I mean, I loved how much he loved his family. And, you know, it was difficult. He was difficult with his family sometimes. I mean, what family dynamic isn't difficult? But he loved us all, and he was fighting for us all to just have a very special relationship to the moment he transitioned. And it was a beautiful process. Like the last several months of his life, he really was like prepping himself for it and pulling everybody in and mending and healing and really allowing himself to be vulnerable. So it's like I feel really grateful that I got to see that in him in those last few months. It's not something I experienced of him the whole way. So I feel like I got to see that vulnerability and love him for that and hold on to those pieces, and then just love him for how he really did love his family and how he did commit to the things that he thought were important.
It's a beautiful legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a beautiful way to articulate what you love most about your father-in-law. The next question I want to ask you, Aaron, is I want you to think about the pain that your husband is going through. And how does that feel to you? Or what's your feeling towards watching him struggle with the grieving process?
I think immediately is just you want to fix it, like I want to allow him to have the process, but I want to be patient with it, but it's painful to watch people that you love be in pain. And there's some fear around it too. Like, Ellen, you brought up a really good point about how people change or shift or evolve.
Yes,
with
the
transition
loss
in their life. So for me, it's a fear of how he's going to evolve and handle it. Like, a fear of the unknown, which is not usually an emotion that I feel, because I'm kind of always creating something new in my life. But
this is very different.
This is dealing with another person's emotions. So the fear of where he's going to go and how he's going to, knowing that I need to trust his process, but just still feeling that fear.
That's fascinating.
And that comes from loving people, and like parents. When your son leaves for the first time and he's on his own journey into college, and I love him so much that I know I can't keep.
You want to wrap him in bubble wrap.
Yeah, I can't control the outcome, but I'm still going to carry my fear with me of the possibility that he's going to fall down and hurt himself, and I don't know where the journey is going to go. So there's a little bit of a control issue too. Just so you know, as human beings, we have this addiction to being in control of things that we can't control. Yeah. And so
I would never know that, Aaron.
And so one more time, this is an opportunity to point out the possibility that I get to surrender trying to control the outcome in his journey. And I think you know this already, Aaron. That's why you're sharing this, is because it's about surrendering that I can't control his outcomes and his journey, but it's still heartbreaking to watch him go through that pain, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
But I'm also hearing something else. This fear of who he's going to become when he goes through the process. Is he going to be this little bit of this unknown person that you've worked so hard up to this point to connect with? And is it going to be this other person on the other end that you're going to have to do a lot more work?
Just in case you didn't know, there's always another person in us. We're always constantly evolving. So in case you're trying to keep the person that you love the most to get a carbon copy and say, please don't change, stay like that, it doesn't work like that.
This is why I'm here, Aaron.
It doesn't work like that. We're constantly changing, whether we like it or not. And as much as
so are the people around us.
Absolutely. And so like you said, a death or a loss of someone we love the most, it changes us. But it doesn't necessarily have to change us for the bad or for the worse or going in a bad direction.
It feels like that at the beginning.
It feels like that because we haven't trained ourselves to be in a mode of having faith and trusting that it's all going to work out. And so when we really start to look at deep down at, hey, I'm going to trust this process. Hey, I'm going to surrender this process. I'm going to allow it to unfold the way it is. And I'm going to rely on the huge amount of love that I have inside of me, Aaron, to heal my husband. What your husband needs from you is unconditional love from you, affection, hugs, kisses, holding his hands, inviting him to go for walks, and asking him open-ended questions so you can help him through that grieving process.
And being okay if he says, no, I don't want to.
Absolutely. Allowing him to be wherever he's at in his own process without judging it, giving it a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, give me a couple of golden nuggets, a couple of ahas that may have opened up for you just from having the dialogue with us today.
Well, before I even called in, a lot of that quote, feel the fear and do it anyway, I think, that really lands with me. And then also, for the first time I'm saying out loud that I'm scared or there's fear around an evolution of my partner and who is a constant in my life. I tend to be the very emotional person, and create a lot of change. And he's kind of our constant, and he needs to be given the space to
not be
go through a
constant
process. And so there's fear around that, but that is also part of my process, and it's also natural. But that fear is just there. It doesn't need to stop anything or paralyze anything, just to recognize it, and then also to remember, a reminder that we get to surrender to that. Like, I have that fear, but I surrender to it, and I know it's there, and I get to face it and go through this process. And then just a reminder of the loving being that I am, and the way that I can support, my family and what they're going through, my husband particularly, by just being who I am innately.
Beautifully said. Yes, you are. And I see you.
And we love you, Aaron.
And we recognize you for being that amazing, loving healer that you are, not only for your husband, but for your kids and your entire family.
And for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And the more that you evolve, the more you grow and remember who you are and what you're about, the more powerful you become.
And reach out. Don't forget to reach out.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much, Aaron. We appreciate you calling in. Love
Thank you.
And we'll talk soon.
Love you.
All right.
Love you.
Okay.
Bye, Aaron.
Bye-bye.
So when we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about,
I have goosebumps.
yeah, me too, a little bit about the call, and we'll kind of wrap up the show. Sounds good? Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
Come join me, Arif Halby, for Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Every Tuesday at noon, we uncover ways to help you manage your money, get out of debt, and prepare for your retirement. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour. Are you not sure if you can retire yet? Listen to us and learn about tips for savings, retirement strategies, and so much more. That's every Tuesday at noon on Total Financial Solutions Safer Money Hour on your hometown station, KHTS.
Drugs or alcohol abuse can tear a family apart. In Santa Clarita, just like everywhere else, it's an epidemic. The Way Out Recovery is here to help. Call them now at 296-4444 or visit them on the web at thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. The Way Out offers outpatient treatment for adolescents, adults, and family members. The Way Out is compassionate, caring, professional, and confidential. You and your family don't have to suffer any longer. Call the Way Out Recovery now, 296-4444, or visit thewayoutrocoveryscv.com and make an appointment. Asking for help is the first step.
If you are at least 55 years of age and have a torn or irreparable rotator cuff, you may be eligible for a no-cost clinical trial at Southern California's Orthopedic Institute's Valencia Clinic. Call 818-901-6600 extension 1525 or visit rotatorcuffstudy.com to learn about a study of an investigational shoulder implant. Call 818-901-6600 extension 1525 or visit rotatorcuffstudy.com. Sponsored by Microair Surgical Instruments.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show in studio in downtown Newhall with Ellen Tunick. We just got off an amazing and powerful coaching call with Erin Aquaviva, sharing some of her breakthroughs and just kind of opening up and being really vulnerable about some of the things that she's struggling with due to this loss of her father-in-law.
Yeah, it was heartfelt. It was so heartfelt, and I think for anyone who has lost someone that they've loved or cared for, that's played an important role in their life, we've all experienced this on some level, in some way. She's very fortunate for having the experience of coaching and knowing that she can talk about this and open herself up to experience how to move through it. Most of us do not.
No, we just do the best we can with
whatever that
we got.
is.
Yeah.
And usually the best we can is not the best for us.
Yeah, and I think we just for whatever reason, we just deal with it however it comes up in that moment, and from our own mindset and from our own fears and from our own defensive mechanisms, all of those things come into play. And a lot of times we stuff it and we don't really deal with it. And that's why years later we can still have emotional trauma from 7, 8, 12, 30 different events. We could be in our 50s and 60s and have so much emotional baggage that's locked up because we never dealt with it. We never processed it. We never talked about it or let it go or surrendered any of it. And that's where our power gets stuck. It gets stuck in those things that we hold on to.
When we lose someone, the word selfish comes up in my head. Selfish. I didn't do enough. I didn't call enough. I didn't. And now it's too late. And so feeling that selfishness, pain on top of the loss, it's really challenging. And if you don't have the ability to open up and expose that and say, I felt and feel so selfish that I didn't do this and I didn't do that, and now it's too late.
Now, what if you had somebody that opened up a whole different possibility for you, that it wasn't selfish, that it was just all that you could do in that moment? So just be open to this possibility. The Ellen that has been living her life unconscious to some level, whatever degree that is, in that unconsciousness, you didn't have the heightened awareness to embrace more of those moments, to seize those moments and be more vulnerable, to make more phone calls, to say, hey, I love you. Hey, I miss you. Hey, you look beautiful today. Hey, I appreciate you. That you didn't have that awareness at that time. And it doesn't matter how much you would like to. In hindsight, you just don't have the capacity yet because you haven't evolved to that level until they pass. When they pass, you have now a whole new heightened awareness, a higher level of awareness, and realizing how important it is moving forward that you learn that lesson. But you're too busy beating yourself up with regrets, judging yourself because the version of you wasn't aware enough yet to be able to see those moments.
For me, it goes even further than that. I did not want to accept my mother's illness. It was like, get off the couch, you're fine. I was aware that I couldn't deal with it, so I pulled away, and my sister came riding in on her white horse and was vulnerable and open and, did amazing things, and I hid from what was going on.
Right, and because you didn't have the capacity, you hadn't developed with the capacity yet and that level of consciousness to be able to be that for your mom the way that now in hindsight you wish you did. You just didn't have the capacity yet, but you're beating yourself up and you're judging yourself and feeling guilty for something you didn't have. You just didn't have it at that point yet.
Makes me feel like a bad person.
It makes you feel bad because now out of that breakthrough, you have the awareness, but you still couldn't have been that person then. So you're faulting yourself and you're guilting yourself unfairly. Does that make sense?
It does.
It's like, here, I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a kid with Down syndrome or a child that doesn't have the capacity to process the way the rest of us do with our mind and our ability to realize and recognize certain moments that are needed for something. And that child is just doing the best they could with their own limitations and their own mental illness and their own struggling with their own capacity of where they're at. And something happens, and we wish that that kid would have made a certain choice that we can see because we're at this certain level. But that kid now beats themselves up for the rest of their life because they weren't that person that they wanted, they wish they could have been. And you're trying to explain to that little kid, you couldn't have been that because you were underdeveloped. So it doesn't matter
how. You're calling me underdeveloped.
We're all underdeveloped,
yes,
including myself. I'm underdeveloped to a higher level. That's all. And it's not a bad and wrong thing. It's just there's a certain part of you didn't have the capacity, the space, whatever it was, to be able to be that person for your mom. But it's not bad and wrong. You're the only one that's judging yourself and then assigning the guilt onto it. Now, here's the part about guilt. A lot of times we give ourselves this, we pull this blanket of guilt over us, and it's not the right emotion. It's not the accurate feeling to put on top of us, because guilt is reserved for people that have done something with an intention. So my question is did you intentionally not be there for your mom on purpose? Or did you not be there because you didn't have it in you at that time?
I didn't have it in me.
Okay, so it wasn't intentional.
Because I was scared.
So you didn't intentionally do it.
I was very good at denying.
Right, but I'm sure it was all unconscious. Or were you consciously going, I'm going to be in denial about this?
I would go back and forth. I knew, at times I knew that I was denying it. But at the moment, that was all I could do.
Got it. So did you intentionally mean to not be there for her, to hurt her?
No.
Okay, so then associating guilt and resentment and regret onto you and carry that like it's a badge of armor or a cross that you got to bear for the rest of your life.
No, it's a big, heavy bag.
I know. And for you to carry that with you is unwarranted. It's the wrong feeling. The feeling that you should be attaching to it is, I feel sad. I'm heartbroken. More of the feelings that doesn't have the negative connotation to it. And a lot of times as human beings, we don't know how to feel certain feelings that are accurate with what we're feeling. So we associate guilt. Guilt's the number one thing that we like to all just pull over us, and we drag it along with us, and it's unwarranted. But you don't know that until you're taught a new possibility, until a new picture is painted for you.
Yes. And I mean, it's almost like a need to have this release or this freedom from that guilt.
Yeah.
Because guilt is not a good feeling. And it's not like I feel it every moment, every day. But when things like this come up, I immediately go back to that.
So I'm going to give you some homework. Would you like homework?
I love homework. It's summer vacation.
When's the last time you were in school, right?
Yeah. Quite a few years ago.
So your homework tonight is to open up a notebook, and I want you to write a short paragraph forgiving yourself for not being there for your mom. And write it from the perspective of who you are now and who that young version was of you then. And write that out and give yourself permission to forgive yourself for not being that person that you keep thinking you needed to be in that moment. And okay. I promise you that in that process, if you get into that, you're going to start shedding some of that and letting that go. Because personal power is about freeing yourself up from all of those things that we carry along with us and are heavy.
Yeah, it sits right here.
Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
It was a great, powerful show. Thank you for sharing yourself. Stay tuned for more of Alex Urbina Radio Show every Friday. That's what we have every Friday at noon right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.